So you see them, I saw the Jehovah Witnesses down here yesterday. I haven't seen them for a while. They were down here yesterday and they had their 2 carts, believe it or not. I'm not sure why they'd have 2 carts, but they did, for whatever reason. And I asked this man about Tony Morris, because Tony Morris was a governing member who got sacked. Now it's quite strange, isn't it, for an anointed one that's going to heaven to be kicked out of the governing body, but he was. Just goes to show the propaganda of it all, the lies of it all, this nonsense that only 144,000 people are going to heaven and all this rubbish and nonsense. I mean, I can't understand how mature adult people can buy into and believe all this rubbish, absolute garbage, theological abuse. Well, this man hadn't even heard who didn't even know who Tony Morris was. He didn't have a clue who I was talking about. And he's standing out on the streets with their propaganda. I was amazed at how ignorant this person was. He didn't look like the brightest person, but neither do I, so you can't tell what's going on inside these people if you don't know them. But anyway, to cut a long story short, I just walked off. I just thought, I'm not gonna, these people don't even know what they're sharing. What they'll try and do is fascinate you with their ideas, their beliefs. But it doesn't take very long before you realise that there's something seriously wrong with what they believe. Something seriously wrong. I mean, it's just not believable. It's just not how they've come up with what they have. Like Jesus is Michael the Archangel, and the world's supposed to have ended 3 or 4 times now, and it hasn't. There has to be something wrong with the minds of these people by way of they've probably been entrained to believe lies. They've had to believe lies for so long, they're just willing to do that. That's the only way or only thing that I can think of, because it's so blatantly obvious that it's theologically distorted to suit a belief and set of policies to hold people. What they do, they make exclusive their beliefs to give you the idea that if you go to another religion, then their beliefs are wrong and you'll be wrong. And it takes incredible manipulation and deception to bring somebody into that mindset, but they do it. They've got their system and it works. Now, the problem that this organisation, this cult, has now realised that it's got is that the congregations are experiencing a lot of internal abuse, domestic and sexual abuse inside the families and amongst the congregations. And that's coming from the theological abuse. because theological abuse will always manifest some kind of lustful, sexual, or destructive and violent, even if it's just verbal abuse of one way, nature or another. It's just what it will do. So what their long-term goal is, and this is 2024, they've started selling the kingdom halls, just bit by bit. But there's been a fair push, over 50 or 60 have been sold just in Australia alone, and I'm not sure if that's New South Wales, but across Australia, which is a fair amount, wouldn't you say? 50 or 60 kingdom halls gone. Because they're going to turn it into a media organisation that just doesn't have meetings. It runs on media. And this then protects them and reduces the congregational dysfunction, where people are leaving marriages to have somebody else, and the child sexual abuse. The predators can't get to the children as easily, therefore they've got less court cases with the pedophiles in their organisation and this kind of thing. So what they'll do, they'll reduce the congregations to nil eventually. It's not going to happen overnight, it's going to take a long time, but they are doing it. They'll make the organisation a media franchise, because it's a business disguising itself as a religion, and it's got it all wrong. That's the sad part about it. They got the business right, but the religion wrong. And there won't be any congregations. That's going to take all 95% of their legal problems away, because their legal problems are coming from the congregations who are at the mercy of their doctrines and policies which don't work. Therefore, if they close the congregations but keep the organisation alive and entrain the followers to believe that this is the way to go and to give to it through the internet or other ways of donating, not that they need the money anymore, because they don't, then that takes away their liabilities through the ways in which the congregants are going to outwork themselves through the theological abuse. If you've been mixed up with the Jehovah Witnesses, if the Jehovah Witnesses are trying to convince you to join their organisation, run. If you're in it and you know that it's going to be costly if you leave, find professional neutral advice. If you know you're going to be shunned, psychologically prepare yourself for that and go, look, I'd rather be shunned and be away from all of this and be a black sheep and break this out of the generation, or not cause anybody else to come into it because of me. And the beauty of it is, it won't take long for them to go no contact with you. So you can go no contact with them quite easily. And then once that's happened, and you've gone no contact with the cult, you can begin to rebuild your life. Now there's stacks of stuff on YouTube from ex-Jehovah Witnesses that have found freedom and life and liberty, got their lives back from the cult, returned to some kind of sanity and normality. Some people never fully recover, but they've got an element of sanity and normality and serenity back into their lives without the intrusion of the cult. Yeah, a lot of them have lost family members, but that's part of the cost of this. There's an old lady with a video on YouTube, I don't know, she must be 80 or 90, saying how the congregation shunned her and she lost her family. She lost all her grandkids and everything. They just would not speak to her. That's how wicked and evil the organisation is. So the sooner you can get out of it and away from it and go through all this and begin to repair and heal, the better it's going to be for you. Leave. They'll chase after you at first, then they'll leave you alone. They won't come back. They'll shun you. They'll get everybody else as far as they can to shun you. Redefine your identity and who you are. Start to live your life the way that you should. The world's not going to end. And find the liberty that you deserve and the life that you deserve to live now.